Joining me again, NBC News political analyst Karine Jean-Pierre. Karine, I can't help but think watching Mayor Pete's sort of muted victory lap. It's not just the momentum that's lost that we talked about earlier from a fundraising perspective, but this is a gay man.
Yeah.
For any person in the LGBTQ community in the United States, let's say over 35, when they were in high school, they may have thought they couldn't come out to their family or couldn't get a certain job, definitely couldn't get married, couldn't have a family, couldn't go get paid leave. Now, all of those things are possible. And a gay man, a married gay man, got 27% at least of the vote in the Iowa caucus. That moment is gone.
In a presidential election in 2020, it should be an amazing big moment. And it is. The historical moment has been muted, as you just said. And last night he did try to capture it. At 11:30 local time in Iowa, he gave this remarkable, amazing speech. I think one of the best speeches that I've heard coming from Mayor Pete.
But not when people were energized, when they were annoyed.
And when people were annoyed and had 0,000 on their screen. And so while he tried to capture it, like you said, it was still muted, it was still lost. And, you know, and this just goes back to what happens next that I keep saying. And we just don't know, like, what happens in New Hampshire. And it's so wild because last night was supposed to be, we're going to get that more data. We're going to see what the people want. And then we have something and we can move forward and there'll be some momentum. And now that doesn't exist. And then what happens tomorrow? There's an impeachment trial where this president could be acquitted. There's State of the Union tonight. And, you know, it kind of just shows where we are in 2020 in politics. But you're right. It's really unfortunate. Pete Buttigieg, a gay man, seemingly to have at least closer to winning Iowa caucus in 2020, got a muted moment. And even on that night, on that stage last night, you saw him, his husband came on stage. They had this beautiful embrace, the energy, and like you said, history was made, but it's
missed.
Right. History was missed.
You mentioned the president for a moment, not just for Mayor Pete, but for the whole Democratic Party. Yesterday was the first time Democrats could truly take that step forward and say, here's one person one day closer to defeating Donald Trump. What does that do to the power of President Trump? The impeachment, we say he's embroiled in the impeachment. He's going to get off tomorrow. His approval rating, according to the most recent polls, is nearing a high.
It's the highest.
And look at the stock market, soaring. Tonight he's going to run a victory lap in his State of the Union address.
Yeah, this is a very good week for Donald Trump. Look, if Democrats want to beat Donald Trump, they have to bring their A game. And they fell flat last night with the first contest in order that gets it going to beat Donald Trump. And here's Donald Trump with a week where the caucus is a disaster. He's going to potentially get acquitted tomorrow. And the question now for Donald Trump is, can he sustain it or will he step on his message, right? That's something that we never know about him. But this is a good week for him. And also, guess who won the week? There are two people who won the week thus far, Donald Trump and Michael Bloomberg.
Well, the week's not over. We're going to take a quick break. You're not going anywhere. We're going to continue our coverage of the Iowa caucus results right after a break here on NBC News Now. Stay with us.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.